The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Tuesday, January 27, 2026, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. Journal of Sunday, January 25, 2026, was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly. The Secretary will read.
Senator May moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9452, and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8822, third reading calendar 41. Senator Salazar moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9516, and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8825, third reading calendar 44. Senator Jackson moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9450, and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8796, third reading calendar 81. Senator May moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9434, substituted for the identical Senate Bills 8797, third reading calendar 82. Senator Baskin moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9513, substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8801, third reading calendar 84. Senator Bailey moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9476, and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8805, third reading calendar 85. Senator Cooney moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9442, substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8808, third reading calendar 86. Senator Myrie moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9491, substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8813, third reading calendar 89. Senator Webb moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9455, substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8815, third reading calendar 90. Senator Fernandez moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9503, substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8816, third reading calendar 91. Senator Hinchey moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9451, substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8826, third reading calendar 93. Senator Liu moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9431, and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8829, third reading calendar 95.
So ordered. Messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. At this time, I move to adopt the resolution calendar.
All those in favor of adopting the resolution calendar, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The resolution calendar is adopted. Senator Gianaris.
Please recognize Senator Chan for an introduction.
Senator Chan for an introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President. So today I want to welcome once again to Albany two very special people who laid down a sacrifice extremely overwhelming. It's Mrs. Zhu Yin Liu, and I'm sorry you had to be sitting behind me over there, and Mr. Wei Tang Liu. They are the parents of Detective Wenjun Liu, who along with his partner, Detective Rafael Ramos, was assassinated in their patrol car in New York City in Brooklyn 11 years ago. And I was still a police officer at the time. I was the second in command of the South Brooklyn Crime Scene Unit, and no need to say that at that time I mobilized all of my cops and detectives to the scene of that shooting, and I myself went to the house of the Lius because it was fairly close to where my office was. And subsequently, over the next decade or so, we became family. And I remember for years after that, every time they saw me, they broke down in tears. And I'm very happy to see that the cops today in the neighborhood, they know that when it snows, go shovel the snow in their driveway, go take care of them, checking on them, knock on the door. That's because they're part of our family. And I'm very, very happy to welcome them once again to Albany. And I want you to know that you are always welcome in Albany. And I ask my colleagues to extend their warmest welcome to the Lius. Now in Chinese, 我想今日再歡迎一次劉先生同埋劉太太，佢哋犧牲咗一切，因為佢哋個仔劉文健偵探同埋佢個 partner Rafael Ramos 偵探11年前俾人喺架車嗰度謀殺咗。嗰陣時我仲當緊差，我係Brooklyn 南區鑑證科嘅副主任。 咁樣嗰一日，我當然派晒我嗰啲警察去嗰一度。咁樣我自己咧就去咗佢哋間屋嗰度。呢11年嚟，我同劉爸爸同埋劉媽媽做咗好好嘅朋友，我哋好似家人咁樣。而家我好開心見到我哋而家呢度附近嗰啲警察喺 Brooklyn 一落雪就知道去同劉爸爸、劉媽媽鏟雪，去 check 下佢哋，睇下佢哋有冇事，因為佢哋係我哋嘅家人。所以我再想要求我嗰啲同事同我一齊歡迎劉爸爸同埋劉媽媽嚟州府呢度。劉爸爸、劉媽媽，我想你知道，我哋幾時都歡迎你嚟呢度。Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Senator Chan. To our guests, I welcome you on behalf of the Senate. We extend to you the privileges and courtesies of this House. Please rise and be recognized. Senator Gianaris.
Mr. President, please take up the reading of the calendar.
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 21, Senate Print 8778 by Senator Bridgeport, enactment of the Social Services Law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Dabo, GNRS Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 1, voted in the negative, Senator Bino, ayes 58, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 41, Assembly number 9452 by Assembly Member Steck, enactment of the Labor Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, GNRS Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 41, those senators voting in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Kanzani Fitzpatrick, Chan, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Matera, Murray, Obrack, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Ralston, Steck, Tedisco, Walzett, Weapon, White. Ayes 37, nays 22.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 44, Assembly number 9516 by Assembly Member Delon, enactment of the Correction Law.
Bill will be laid aside.
Calendar number 75, Senate Print 8786 by Senator Skoufis, enactment of the Insurance Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as a chapter of the laws of 2025.
Call the roll.
Adabo, GNRS Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 75, voted in the negative, Senator Palumbo. Ayes 58, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 81, Assembly number 9450 by Assembly Member Fefer Amato, enactment in the chapter of the law of 2025.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, GNRS Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 81, voted in the negative, Senator Walzett. Ayes 58, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 82, Assembly number 9434 by Assembly Member Kassai, enactment to amend the chapter of the laws of 2025.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, GNRS Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 82, voted in the negative, Senator Walzett. Ayes 58, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 83, Senate Print 8799 by Senator Fahey, enactment of the Mental Hygiene Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as a chapter of the laws of 2025.
Call the roll.
Adabo, GNRS Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 84, Assembly number 9513 by Assembly Member Cashman, enactment of the county law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as a chapter of the law of 2025.
Call the roll.
Adabo, GNRS Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 85, Assembly number 9476 by Assembly Member Dinowitz, enactment of the education law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, GNRS Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 85, voted in the negative, Senator Walzett. Ayes 58, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 86, Assembly number 9442 by Assembly Member Magnarelli, enactment of the financial services law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, GNRS Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 86, voted in the negative, Senator Gallivan. Ayes 58, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Excuse me. Also, Senator Warzik. Ayes 57, nays 2. Calendar number 88, Senate Print 8811 by Senator Comrie, enactment of the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as a chapter of the law 2025.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 88, voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Cazalet Fitzpatrick, Chan, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Patera, Murray, Obrecht, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Robinson, Steck, Tedisco, Walzak, Weber, and White. Ayes 37, nays 22.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 89, Assembly number 9491 by Assemblymember Simone, enactment of the criminal procedure law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as a chapter of the law 2025.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 90, Assembly number 9455 by Assemblymember Bashad Hermelin, enactment to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as a chapter of the law 2025.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar number 90, voted in the negative, Senator Warzik. Ayes 58, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 91, Assembly number 9503 by Assemblymember Rosenthal, enactment of the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 93, Assembly number 9451 by Assemblymember McDonald, enactment of the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as a chapter of the law 2025.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 94, Senate Print 8828 by Senator Gurnardez, enactment of the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 94, voted in the negative, Senator Warzik. Ayes 58, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 95, Assembly number 9431 by Assemblymember Magnarelli, enactment of the tax law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 95, voted in the negative, Senator Warzik. Ayes 58, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 99, Senate Print 8887 by Senator Sepulveda, enactment of the Estates, Powers, and Trust Law.
Read the last section.
Section 6, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 99, voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Cazalet Fitzpatrick, Chan, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Obrecht, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Steck, Tedisco, Walzak, Weber, and White. Ayes 39, nays 20.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Please go to the reading of the controversial calendar.
The secretary will ring the bell. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 44, Assembly number 9516 by Assemblymember DeLon, enactment of the correction law.
Senator Murray, right, are you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the sponsor yield for a question, please?
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President. So in the bill, and I'm going to read, forgive me here, but I'm going to read my notes here. It says that at least one member, we're increasing the members of the board from 3 to 5. It says at least one member must be a former inmate in a New York correctional facility, and one member must have one or more of the following qualifications: licensed healthcare professional authorized to practice in New York, licensed attorney authorized to practice in New York with a background in criminal indigent defense or prisoners' rights litigation, or experience as a legal policy professional who has professional experience related to the rights of inmates. So my question is there any requirement that one of these members have any experience with victims and victims' rights?
Through you, Mr. President, actually, so I do want to just remind all of us the purpose of the State Commission of Correction. It is to provide oversight of correctional facilities. Frankly, to be honest, apart from people who, happen to also be victims of crime themselves, if they are incarcerated or if they work in a correctional facility, the work of the SCOC does not really focus on crime victims. And so I do just want to make that clear. There's nothing in the legislation that suggests that any of the appointees to the SCOC, full-time or part-time commissioners, would not be eligible to serve on the SCOC if they had experience working with crime victims. It's just not explicitly stated as a requirement.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the bill?
Senator Murray on the bill.
And thank you, Senator Salazar. The interesting part is everything, while it might not directly work with victims, everything in the criminal justice system applies to crime victims. Understand that the victims are the people that did nothing wrong. The criminals are the ones that chose to break the law and create a crime victim. There was a headline today in one of the papers: Brooklyn judge cuts sex abuser's original 103-year sentence to 18 as victim voices outrage and fear. The message New York sends over and over again to crime victims is, you don't matter. We're demanding that on this board, you have people that have a background in defending criminals, a background in criminals' rights and making sure that they're comfortable and everything is fine for the criminals. And I beg to differ when you say that this doesn't apply to crime victims, because everything that happens in the criminal justice system, in one way or another, affects the crime victims. See, our thought process is exactly what the sponsor just said. It's dismissing the criminal. This headline doesn't directly, it's about the criminal itself and his sentence. But what message did it send to the crime victims? And I would argue it sends the exact same message this bill sends, and that is, you don't matter. And that's a real shame. For that reason, I'll be voting no. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Murray. Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is now closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Senator Gianaris.
Mr. President, we've agreed to restore this bill to the non-controversial calendar.
The bill will be returned to the non-controversial calendar. Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as a chapter of the law 2025.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell-Cousins-White.
Senator Rivera to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Senator Salazar for bringing this bill up. And one thing is that as I proudly vote in the affirmative in this legislation, just one thing that I'd want some of my colleagues to consider is that there seems sometimes the narrative that folks might speak about on this floor is elsewhere. It's as if though they just speak about people who have committed crimes, who are paying their debt to society by being incarcerated, as if though they would never change, that they're going to be criminals forever, and speak of them as if though they're just folks that should be thrown away. And I think that has to do with a mentality that is purely about punitive thinking. It is about just punishing. And unfortunately, what that has led to is the reason why things like this are necessary is because it is indeed, when we think about victims, and we do think about victims all the time, we do so in ways that are comprehensive, that have to do with how to fix the entire problem, not just identifying the person that made a mistake and then punish that person forever and ever and ever without being able to say that anything that they can do can change who we believe them to be. And I think that that's a mentality that is not only old school, but old and unnecessary. So I'm glad that we're moving forward. We can think about victims and how we make their lives better, and we can take people who have committed crimes and who have paid their debt to society and say that they can come back in society and be productive members of it. So I vote in the affirmative in this legislation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Rivera to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Martins to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I vote no, and certainly I can't support this, but I also wanted to explain why. I believe everyone in this room believes in the power of rehabilitation. And we hope for the power of rehabilitation and the ability for people to do better and to grow and to come back as meaningful members of society. But we also can't ignore reality. The recidivism rate in this state is extraordinarily high. The facts are specific. For anyone who wants to look at facts and not just paint with broad strokes, the recidivism rate is high. And so when we vote on bills like this that are, frankly, counter to the facts as we see them, as much as we all hope for rehabilitation, and we want to give every opportunity for that person who is incarcerated to be rehabilitated and come back as a member of society, I think it is, I think it's unfair to come here and to tell people in this chamber that those who voted no for this bill somehow are doing it for ulterior motives. I vote no, and I think, and I urge all of my colleagues to vote no as well. Thank you.
Senator Martins to be recorded in the negative. Senator Salazar to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. Clearly, I'm not feeling excellent right now, but I did want to just speak to the remark about the recidivism rate in our state, which I completely agree. It's unacceptably high. We have an outrageously high recidivism rate in this country. We also have the highest incarceration rate in this country per capita, in the world actually, per capita in the United States, which is a shame. It doesn't seem to be working, does not seem to be preventing people from returning to jail or prison, and I share my colleagues' commitment in seeking to reduce the number of Americans and New Yorkers who find themselves in jail or prison in the first place, and certainly repeatedly as recidivism measures. And something that I believe contributes to recidivism is trauma and violence that can be portrayed against people who are in correctional facilities, whether they are incarcerated or they are staff. And so I think it really behooves all of us, if we want to see fewer people returning to prison, also if we want to see people returning to society healthier and ready to contribute to public safety in their communities, we want to make sure that jails and prisons are safer than they have been demonstrated to be in the past year. In just over a year, we have seen at least 2 young men murdered by correction officers, Robert Brooks and Messiah Nantwi. And I'm grateful that we are passing this amended legislation today to try to really just improve the conditions in our correctional facilities and ensure that there is accountability and adequate oversight. I vote aye.
Senator Salazar to be recorded in the affirmative, and we hope you feel better. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 44, voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Councilor Fitzpatrick, Chan, Gallivan, Griffel, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Matera, Murray, Albright, O'Mara, Orr, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rousing, Sec, Tedisco, Wozik, Webb, and White. Ayes 37, nays 22.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
I move to adjourn until tomorrow, Thursday, January 29th at 11 a.m.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Thursday, January 29th at 11 a.m.